Clovis dairy farmer Art Schaap first learned his water was contaminated by PFAS chemicals back in October of 2018.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Since then, Schaap says he's been forced to dump tens of millions of pounds of milk, resulting in millions of dollars in lost revenue. The toxic PFAS chemicals were from firefighting foam used in training exercises at nearby Cannon Air Force Base, which over time caused an underwater plume of PFAS contaminated water. Schaap says while the Air Force and Department of Defense are taking steps to fix the problem, it's not happening quickly enough, and his business, he says, is in trouble. KAMR Local 4's Kaylee Green has an update on his story. That I-Team follow-up, topping our news tonight at 10.
Art Schaap says each day Highland Dairy is losing money because of PFAS contamination.
I've lost over 1,100 animals since this whole PFAS poisoning started, and it's devastating my business. I have dumped 72 million pounds of milk, probably over $11 million of lost revenue.
The Air Force is hosting quarterly meetings with the Clovis community to address PFAS contamination, the first held last week over Zoom. Christopher Gerke, the remedial project manager for Cannon Air Force Base, says the Air Force and DoD are focused on drinking water for human consumption.
There's not a lot of guidance and authorities regarding PFAS and PFOA, except for that the EPA recommends but does not mandate that we take action for human drinking water above that 70 parts per trillion.
The Air Force said it offered to install water filters in 3 locations that exceeded that amount, but they declined. Schaap says he declined because it took too long.
So I went out and I found a filter and I installed it at my house. And I spent about $8,000 just at my house. The filter is going to the animals. I spent $150,000 for that filter.
Schaap also says he won't be paid back.
They ruined my water supply. They ruined my animals. I can't sell my milk. I've lost my contract. I have some other farms that are kind of keeping me afloat right now, but I've been getting help from the USDA, but that has stopped. And no one has a resolution on what they want to do.
Gerke says the Superfund Law, or CERCLA, allows the DoD to address emerging contaminants, and new PFAS guidance is being implemented from the National Defense Authorization Act.
And there's limited guidance that's been put out by the Food and Drug Administration and the Environmental Protection Agency with regards to consuming agricultural products and other exposure pathways. So with this, these are kind of our constraints and limitations that we have with addressing PFAS, PFOA.
Schaap has filed 2 lawsuits, one against manufacturers of the firefighting foam and another against the Air Force and DoD. Both suits are still pending.
I don't know how long it's going to take, then, once there's a settlement, then people can move on, but I have no idea how long it's going to take. I mean, is something going to happen before, I lose everything? I have no idea.
Following the CERCLA process, the Air Force and DoD have wrapped up site inspections near Cannon Air Force Base to confirm the presence or absence of PFAS contamination. Now they're gearing up for the remedial investigation to determine the nature and extent, which could take years to complete. Live in studio, Kaylee Green, KMR Local 4 News. Jackie.
Kaylee, thank you. The Air Force will host more meetings with the Clovis community to address PFAS contamination. It's also looking to establish a restoration advisory board at Cannon Air Force Base.